Hi there, this is John Lebensold for KillerPHP.com, and in this video on advanced MySQL usage, I'm going to be looking at many-to-many relationships. So in the last video, we created a table called category, and a table called author, and a table called post. And we had a one-to-many between category and post, and a one-to-many between author and post. In other words, there could be one author that would author many posts, and there could be a category, and the category would contain many posts. So now we're going to switch things up a little bit, and we're going to create another table that will act as a join table or a cross table in order to facilitate a many-to-many relationship between category and post. So I'm going to start us off by adding a drop table. By the way, it's case insensitive, but drop table if exists on the top here, and this is my script, by the way, and it's just going to be a table called post category. In other words, we're going to be joining the post with the category. Now, other modifications that we need, we're going to have to create, of course, this table, and we're also going to actually get rid of the category ID from our post. Because we're actually not going to need it anymore, and I'll explain why in just a minute. So I'm going to start by deleting that, and I'm also going to delete the foreign key reference, or actually I'm just going to cut it. So if you look now, basically I've gotten rid of any relationship between the category table and the post table. The next step is to, of course, create this table that will join the two. So in this case, I'm going to create a table called post category, and it will have a ID, which will be an integer primary key, auto increment, and it will also have a post ID, which will be an integer, and it will have a category ID, which will be an integer. And then we're going to have a foreign key on category ID that references the category table. So if we just look at this for a second here, we have the category ID, and then we have on delete no action. So that should be good there. So we've got a foreign key here, but we also want to have another foreign key, and this foreign key is going to be for post ID. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it, and then I'm going to close this bracket and then specify the engine as InnoDB. And here, instead of it being a foreign key on category ID, it's going to be post ID, and it's going to reference the post ID. So there we go. So now we've got a category table, a author table, a post category table, and a post table. So if I also, this select statement down here is no longer going to work for us, because we won't be able to just do a very simple left join on category. We can still do the left join on author, but we won't be able to do the left join on category anymore. That's going to require a little bit more work. So the last little thing I need to do is actually get rid of the category IDs from my post here. So I'll just delete that, and that, and that. And make sure that this all looks okay. And there we go. And in some ways, our post table has actually gotten a lot simpler, because now we only have one foreign key constraint there. And we've moved all the foreign key constraints to the post category table. So we've decoupled the two, essentially. So if I select all this, copy it, and then paste it into my terminal, I'm getting some error down the line. Let's see. This looks okay. Can't create table, post category, error number 150. It looks like there's something wrong here. So if I say create table, post category, maybe I'm missing something here. Let's just go back for a second. Yes. So in order to be able to do this, again, order matters. So I can't just put the post category anywhere. I mean, I need to insert this after I've got the post table, right? Because it's got foreign key constraints. So actually, I'll just put it at the bottom after the insert posts. Hit save again, copy it, paste again, and it looks good, except for the error on the select statement down here, which can easily be mitigated, or remedied rather. Good. Okay, so if I do a select star, if I first do show tables, we'll see that we now have 4 tables instead of 3. If I do a select star from author, you can see that I have my list of authors, and I have categories, and I have posts with corresponding author IDs, but no longer a category ID. And if I describe the post category table, then I can see that it's got a post ID and a category ID. Now, in order for this to properly function, it actually requires foreign keys. And here is our first example of that, one-to-many, or that many-to-many rather. So down here, what I'm going to do is just start with linking politics and international as 2 separate categories for the first posting. So to do that, it's actually very simple. I just say insert into post category, post ID, category ID, values, and the first one is going to be the post ID, so it's the first post, and the category that I want to insert is going to be politics, so it's going to be 1-1. And then if I want to link it to international at the top here, then it's going to be 1-2. And so I'm also going to use this double dash, which is a comment. So link post with politics. And this is going to link the posts with international. So select all, copy, paste it in. Now things get a lot more interesting. If you think about it, we can't actually express this in one particular view. We have to do some special left joins, and when we do those left joins, our many-to-many relationship is actually going to change. We can't just simply list out all the categories. Well, we can list out all the categories that a particular post has, or we can list out any posts that match a subset of those categories or requires all of those categories. So we're going to be creating views in the next video where we actually look at all these variations. But for now, let's just try and do a normal left join. So I'm going to start by actually saying select star from post category. Notice we're starting with the post category table now, and I'm just going to call it PC. Left join post P on pc.postid equals p.id. So if I left join on one hand, then I'm getting the political postings, because if I do a select star from category post category, then I'll have the post ID and the category ID. Now if I keep going, I can actually do another left join. So I'm joining on one side of the cross table to the posts, and on the other side of the cross table to the categories. So I can do a left join on category, C, on pc.categoryID equals c.id. Hit enter. And so now, on one hand, I'm getting the first I get the first table, then I get it glued to the content of the posts table, and then I get that glued to the authors table. Now, why are we only getting 2 posts? The reason for that is that in our post category table, we're only referring to that one post, and we're actually getting duplicates right now, which is a little confusing. So you can see that there isn't a 2-dimensional way of displaying this kind of data. If I wanted to display all of the posts that had politics and international, then it would be a little different. It would be something closer to saying, okay, well, I would start by saying, okay, select star from, or actually select ID from category C, where C.name equals politics, or C.name equals international. So I would start there, and I would get politics. I misspelled that. So I would get the 2 IDs, right? So then I would have to take those 2 IDs, and I would have to do something like select post ID, where the category ID is 1 or 2. So I would have to do a join onto itself, which is a little confusing. But in the next video, we're going to actually look at this, where we're basically grouping and selecting and making sure that we can do these more complex queries. But just so that you know, when you're dealing with one-to-many, or not with one-to-many, but when you're dealing with many-to-many, you're not going to be able to easily display the data without getting some duplicates lying around. So in this case, I'm getting, a duplicate title for political posting because I've got 2 category names for it. If I wanted to get all of the categories for political posting, then I would do something where I would just left join on one side. So I would probably start by saying select star from post, and I would get all the posts, and then I'd say, oh, okay, there's a political posting with an ID of 1. And then from there I would say, okay, select star from category, where ID is equal to, and then it would be, actually it'll be first, I'm sorry, I'm working through this in my head. Okay, first we would have to do select star from post category, where post ID equals 1, right? Now we're actually looking for the category IDs, right? So we would be select category ID from post category, where post ID equals 1. And this will give us the category IDs associated with the post ID number 1. Then we would do something with the in parameter. So then I would say, okay, select categories, select star from category, where ID in, and then I would actually take this select statement and paste it inside here, if that makes any sense. So basically what we're doing is we're saying, okay, I want you to select all of the categories where the ID is in another select statement, which is the category ID from post category, where the post ID is equal to 1. So I'm just going to copy this into my little script text file here for a second so that we can work on this query together. So here's the beginning of it, but if I wanted to make this more dynamic, I actually could. I could say, okay, well, instead of saying select category ID from post category where post ID is equal to 1, I could say, okay, well, select star from select post ID where select post ID from post where name equals, or where title equals political posting. And that would be my first where clause, and then I could take that and stick it in here. So then I could have another clause in here and say where post ID in select post ID post where title equals political posting. So now I've got two nested queries, which now things are starting to get a little more interesting, where we're using one query to drive another query to drive another query. And you can only really do this with a relational database when you've got all your data in separate areas. And so now I've got something that's very generic, where I can actually pick up any post. If I say Olympics and I say where title like, which is a way of saying, you know what, I only want you to compare some of it. I can say something like, okay, well, get me all the categories for a post where the title is like Olympics. And then I'm going to get something different. So I just noticed here that actually I don't want to just select from Olympics. I want to select the post.id from post where title like Olympics. So if I do a search here and I run this query again, I'm going to get an ID of 6, which is fine. But then you'll notice that I don't have any categories in my post category with this particular query in place. So if I wanted to, I could add to my Olympics post, which happens to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which happens to be post ID 6, I could add the category sports, which is 5. So if I wanted to do that, it would be I would be inserting into post category the post ID of 6 and the category of 5. If I do that, and then I run this again, I'm going to have that, which is a post ID of 6. If I paste this again, then I can see that when I run this nested query, I'm actually going to get the category name. So at first glance, this actually looks quite a bit more complicated, and it is, but the advantage is that you can go both ways. So just like I can have an Olympic story that has multiple categories, or a political posting that has multiple categories, a category can also have multiple posts. So if I want to do that, it's just a matter of reversing this query and then going from the other end and doing the multiple select statements backwards, or simply doing a left join. If we were to do this using a left join, it would be a little simpler, and you could also see sort of how this all works. So if I do a select star from post category PC left join post P on PC.postID equal P.ID. Oops. Select star from post category PC, left join post P on PC. There we go. Post underscore ID. Then I would have the titles, and then I would have the category IDs here. And if I wanted to get the corresponding category IDs, then I could just grab that as well with another left join. I can also start from the posts and then do a left join outwards. So I could do select star from post P, left join where I join to post category PC on P.ID equals PC.post underscore ID. This is like a right join, right? So now I'm going to have political postings, more politics, international news, and so on and so forth. And then I can see that, oh, I've got actually two post ID or two category IDs associated with this particular political posting. So the only way to really kind of get around this is to actually have multiple queries that will represent your many-to-many relationship properly. If this is still a little obtuse and you're having some trouble understanding the concept, don't worry too much. We're going to be doing a lot more with many-to-manys in the next video. I'm John Lebensold, and thanks for listening.